Show of hands. Who has FOMO? Fear of missing out? Where are you at? Come on, raise your hand. It's okay. I'm right there with you. You're in good company. Turn to the person next to you and share with them the last time you experienced FOMO. Let me take you back to the first time I experienced FOMO. The year was 2005. I was in 5th grade in Mrs. Wright's class at Anthem Elementary. It was a typical Tuesday morning. I woke up, Mom made some Eggos. I devoured those Eggos while watching Cribs on MTV, naturally. I hopped on my all-white BMX bike with pegs on the back. I rode to school. I got to school, I locked my bike up, and I walked into the gates, and I said hey to my 5th grade girlfriend, Ray. I gave her a solid high five. Playing it cool, I proceeded to play football with the boys in the field. Bell rang, we walked into class, school started, nothing new. I got to class, I settled in, and that's when it happened. My friend, or at least I thought he was my friend, Kevin walked into class. Kevin was holding a stack of white envelopes. Now, I quickly looked around and I could tell everyone else took notice to these envelopes that he was holding. We all knew what they meant. It was simple math, really. Kevin plus his birthday coming up equals invites. Those envelopes were invitations to his party. As I'm beginning to process this information, I, along with everyone else in the room, starts counting the envelopes. And as I'm counting the envelopes, I quickly realize the number of invites in his hand does not equal the bodies in the room. It wasn't even close. This no longer was an invitation. This became a sick, twisted social experiment to see 5th graders crumble under the pressure of social hierarchy and landscape. Survival of the fittest, or in this case, the most popular. Kevin starts to hand out the invitations. Weston gets one. Nick gets one. A bead of sweat drops on my forehead. Cody gets one. Steven gets one. My hand starts to shake. One by one, these invites get passed out. And your boy got passed up. No invite. My life is over. How could I not get an invite? How could he not ask me to come to his party? I wanted that invite so badly. I was so desperate to be included. Now, this is typically the part of the story where I would ask you, can you relate to poor 5th grade Taylor? And then I would probably ask some follow-up question like, have you been there? Have you not been invited to something? And then maybe I would ask, do you also have 5th grade birthday party childhood trauma? But today I want to do it a little differently. I want to take on the perspective of someone else, Kevin. You see, Kevin had invites to pass out. And on the other end of those invites were people he knew wanted that invite. He knew the moment he extended that invite to someone, they were all in. He knew, like me, there were plenty of people desperate for an invitation. You have that same power. I want you to think of all the areas in your life where you have an invite to extend to someone else and they obviously want it. The new Dutch Bros stand just opened up in your city. It's Saturday night and you just got your license. And in your friend circle, you're the first person to get your license. Dad says, yo, the whip is yours. You know the moment you throw in your group chat, who wants to go to Dutch? Your boy is driving. Everyone is saying yes. Mom just said, you get a +1 to the family vacation. Every year you go on a little road trip to the beach in California. We're talking a week of burritos. We're talking the ocean. The vibes are immaculate. This year, Mom said you can invite a friend. So you don't hesitate. You text your best friend and invite them to the trip. There are places in our lives where we have the opportunity to invite someone to something, and without a second thought, we do it. We don't overthink it because we know we're inviting someone to something where there's going to be an obvious yes. However, on the flip side, we have places in our lives where we have the opportunity to invite someone to something, and well, yeah, we are not expecting a yes. It is more of a struggle to extend that invite. You have that math test coming up Monday. It's on like quadratic equations and linear inequalities, and well, the math ain't mathin'. You're struggling. You need help, and the only person that can help you is your best friend. You want to invite them over to your house on a Sunday to help you study, but it's their day off. And you know the last thing they want to do is math on the weekend. So you struggle to decide whether, do I invite them over? Do I not invite them over? What should I do? Your family is moving houses, and there's a lot to move. Y'all need extra hands to pack up the stuff, and you think, okay, maybe I'll invite my friends over to help. But one problem, it's summertime. And y'all, we live in Phoenix, and it's like 2,000 degrees outside. You go back and forth, and you overthink the situation, and you're like, should I invite them? Should I not invite them? What do I do? Because you don't want them to suffer in the heat. Your invitations in these types of moments are quite the opposite of what Kevin had. You are convinced no one wants these invitations. As a matter of fact, you think people would run away the moment you invite them in. I think there's one situation, one moment, a lot of us would put on this list of hard invites. Inviting people to church. We've been in this series called What's Next? A lot of us has come home from camp. We've made some crazy cool decisions to go all in with Jesus. And now we want to know, what's next for me? How can I pursue Jesus away from camp, back at home? Invite people to church. This might be one of the most catalytic decisions you can make as you pursue Jesus and grow in your relationship with him. It causes you to lean in and follow the last command that Jesus left for us before he left earth. Matthew 28:19-20 says this, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you." Jesus is very clear that he wants us to go tell others about him. What easier way to do that than to make an invite to someone to come to church with you? However, I know some of us are already processing this. This might be the biggest, scariest step we take when we ask the question, what's next? Because it requires us to step outside of ourselves. This isn't something that just affects us. Other people are involved now. You are putting yourself out there. You're inviting someone to something that really isn't the norm. I can sense the anxiety through this screen right now. There are so many reasons you carry that anxiousness when we think about inviting others to church. What if what I believe about Jesus and how he calls me to live my life doesn't match my friend and how they live their life? What if I invite them and they say no? Will they still want to be friends with me and hang out? Will they think an invite to church is just like some passive-aggressive way of me judging them for what they did at that party last week? Did they see that weird documentary on Netflix about that crazy church in New York? Do they think my church is weird like that church? Will they feel out of place? Like, will they know how to worship? What about communion? Will they feel weird printing out a name tag and putting it on? What if, I don't know, what if my small group doesn't welcome them because they're the bad kid? Side note, really quick. This one is all too real. I've had conversations with some of you, and you have said something like this. If that's you in your small group, I think it's time to have an honest conversation why you need to stop that mentality. You are no better than the bad kid. Jesus is for everyone. So what do? How do we fight through this overthinking? How do we stop struggling with inviting people in? Your desire for others to experience the hope of Jesus must be greater than the anxiety you carry inviting people in. Here's what I know. Everyone is on a quest to find hope. Your whole life is scoping through everything to see if this is the thing that will finally bring my heart fulfillment, if this is the thing that I will finally find hope in. Now, for a lot of you, coming home from camp, knowing who Jesus is, you know the only place that you're going to find true hope and fulfillment is in Jesus. Proverbs 13:12 says this, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life." This proverb is absolute money. It's talking straight to everyone's search. When we can't find hope, it feels like our life is crumbling. But when we find true hope, it saves our life. And you know that Jesus is the only source of true hope. How can others find this hope without an invitation from you? Your desire for others to experience the hope of Jesus must be greater than the anxiety you carry inviting people in. When you invite someone to come to church with you, you aren't just inviting them to a fun time with pizza and games. When you invite someone to church, you are setting them up to find the hope and joy they've always been searching for. You are giving them the opportunity to experience the same life change you have found in Jesus. I know without a doubt you want others to step into that. So what's next? Will you have the courage to invite people in?